Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Friday show. We're excited to have you here. We're excited to be here. For all those that are new to the show, the format's going to be just ask any questions you want in the chat, and we're happy to answer them. We've got the dream team today. We've got the whole crew. I'm Alec. I'm a senior, what is it now? Senior creative design
What's your new
specialist.
name?
I forgot to change it on the stream here, but yeah. So that's what I do. I do mostly web design here at NETGEAR, and I do a little bit of social media as well. And I'm joined by Michael, Ben, and Darren. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, Michael.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Michael, Technical Marketing Manager at NETGEAR. I spend a lot of time playing with our beta products. I've done tech support in the past, and when I can, actually get out in the real world, do a lot of the trade shows. So I do a lot of one-on-one with people, and I'm here to help answer all your questions. All right, Darren, over to you.
Hi, I'm Darren. I'm a technical support specialist and community moderator at NETGEAR. I cover our home networking products in our community and across social media. And we're here to help with any networking or tech questions that you have today. On to Ben.
Hey, I'm Ben Osvito. I'm a digital experience manager here at NETGEAR. What that means is I am working on Nighthawk Pro Gaming, Armor, and smart parental controls. So I'm back after being away for a little bit, but I'm excited to hear you guys' questions. And I already see a couple people that are regulars. So let's
We've
just
got. I liked Husky Gamers comment here. We got the quad. I mean squad.
Yeah.
I mean, squad.
Right.
It's
Right.
perfect.
Well, we are a quad. There are four of
Yeah.
us, but
We
technically
are.
there's five. As always, we have Christine in the booth.
Yep.
But we're an hour format, so let's get into the questions because unless you guys have any questions for us, I don't think we have filler questions today. We have that whole thing about not having filler questions is sort of our bumping Matt Damon kind of thing because we've never had filler questions since I think May of last year.
Yeah.
We're just throwing it off the cuff.
Yeah.
If anybody has, any questions that aren't Netgear questions, I'd like to think we're four interesting people.
Right.
You all can be the judge of that, but please ask us anything. We're happy to answer it. But
Happy to answer it.
Yep.
I'm
Got to
just
give
trying to.
kudos to Kieran for getting rid of that TP link and upgrading to the ingenious PoE adapter.
Oh, sweet.
Is that
Yep.
a Netgear product?
Nope. Just getting rid of the TP link. I'm just happy about that.
Okay.
Yeah, TP Link is not to disparage, but you get what you pay for.
hmm
I'll just say, and also, aren't they like ancient usually?
They're still around. Their market segment is different than our market segment on what we're targeting. They go for the very, very low end, mass produced products.
Okay, Ryan. Yes, thank you, buddy. Warzone Season 3. So apparently, I haven't played. I'm gonna play tonight because I've been deep diving in zombies on Cold War. And apparently, what do you think is going on is going to happen to Warzone? Well, now that when you play as a group, apparently when you can come back as a zombie, which is kind of cool. I would love to see a mix between zombies and regular Warzone. I don't know about you guys, but I played a ton of zombies and just getting past like I would say the third, fourth beacon into like fifth, sixth, up to like 10. I think 10 is my record right now, but it just gets crazy where you're doing so much damage, but you're doing so little damage, especially with the specials. I don't know if you guys have played much of zombies Cold War.
I play a lot of Warzone and it's getting stale. It definitely needs to change with everything. But they made it so you can't go to prison anymore right now.
Really?
Yeah, and there's annoying messages and missiles being fired that are just loud. You can't hear anything while you're playing now. So it's kind of annoying until they change stuff.
Oh God.
Because of their event.
Yeah, they're doing an event. It's similar to when they destroyed the stadium. So I don't know. I'll hop in tonight. My crew has all upgraded to Cold War, and so I think we'll be back on Warzone and multiplayer again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they've done a lot of improvements to Cold War. The guns feel way better than they did at launch. I don't know about what do you have you played Cold War, Darren?
No, I didn't like it when I tried it out, so I didn't buy it. But I'm happy to see the next one's World War II again.
Yeah, I find it kind of like they never know what time frame that they're actually in. That's kind of the thing with Call of Duty. I never know what time I'm in.
Yeah.
And
All
to
right,
answer
we
one
have a
question there,
oh yeah, go
Ryan
ahead.
had a question about adjusting signal strength for devices. And I saw Christine asked him beamforming. I think what Ryan's asking about is actually being able to go in and adjust the signal strength itself, output from the router. I know in the past, not with NETGEAR products, but with a lot of other third-party products, especially open source, they actually opened that up. So you could actually pump up the signal strength on your router or turn it down within the router itself.
Yeah.
And as far as whether we're going to do it, I haven't seen that opened up on any of our routers at this point. So most likely you won't see that in the near future, but we can definitely pass that up as a suggestion, and it never hurts.
It never hurts, especially on the Nighthawk side. You'll probably get a little bit better traction on being able to tweak some of those things than on the Orbi side. And speaking of Orbi, got a question.
Yeah, a question here from Cabes. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. But Cabes asks, hello, this is my first time here. I just bought an Orbi AX6000 and I have a few questions. Well, please ask your questions. We're happy to help out as much as we can. We all love Orbi Wi-Fi 6. It's a great system, whether you have, the top of the line one or any of them. They're all really, really great systems. So definitely, we're here to help out, make sure it runs well. And then I also wanted to just kind of mention to, Ryan and everybody else who's on the show, we really do appreciate suggestions. NETGEAR is a pretty small company, and we know almost everyone within the company. So if you have a really good suggestion and we like it and think it's worth pitching, we can totally bring it up to somebody. So we're happy to hear them. So
I see Christine did ask a question. Reply on what I said about doesn't the FCC have something to say about being able to adjust the power? Absolutely. The FCC sets maximum power outputs on devices. And so you would be able, if that feature was implemented, you would be able to adjust the power, but you wouldn't be able to go beyond the maximum. There was a time period, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when one of the gaming companies were coming out with their gaming routers where they were overpowering their Wi-Fi. And they got in some trouble about that because they were violating the FCC rules on the maximum power.
Interesting. Well, that's interesting to know. I didn't know that. I don't want to say that's cool, but that's interesting. All right, so follow up here from Cabes regarding the Orbi. Can we talk about security? I was comparing the Eero and Orbi and noticed after speaking to Eero that they see every device connected to my network. Does Orbi provide a closed network? I think I know the answer, but I would much rather defer to somebody who definitely knows the answer. Many of you guys happen to know that. Maybe Ben, you're the new armor guy.
Well, this is more of just a regular networking. Does it provide a closed network?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Cabes means by the closed network. As far as it being able to see all the devices connected to their network, yes, you would be able to see that in attached devices in the Orbi admin screens.
But you wouldn't be able to see that from an exterior.
No. And you shouldn't be able to.
You shouldn't be able to.
This is something that
if you're using the protocols.
Go ahead, Ben. Sorry. This is something that we like to talk about a little bit. We don't market it a ton, but it's a good point to make. Is that NETGEAR just does routers. It's a small company. Well, I mean, not just routers, but like just networking equipment and Mural. So it's not a part of a big parent company. So we're not really harvesting any data. Now, I don't know for a fact if Google or Amazon are harvesting data, so I'm not going to come out and say like, they're the bad guys or anything, but there should be some element of reassurance that you're buying a product from a dedicated networking company that's not harvesting data.
Yep.
I think there's a certain value to that for sure. And then you combine that with Armor, which we can, if you want us to go into, we can. You really have like the pinnacle of privacy, which is great.
And you have a couple layers of security there. Not only, is it looking for threats on your network level from your router, but you could actually install it as an end product on your device, and you get a second layer of protection from all sorts of cyber threats out there. But
Totally.
as far as if you could clarify what you mean by a closed network, you shouldn't have an open if you have an open network where somebody can like peek in and say, oh, there's 3 laptops, an Xbox and a PlayStation and a couple of other devices like a TV connected to the internet. Well, that's not very secure. And at the most immediate basic level, I would say all of our products are closed in, where you have a password and you're not going to be able to see from an outside perspective what's connected to the network.
Totally. All right, question from Kieran, and I have an answer to this one. Not how pro gaming may reduce your ping, but how do you reduce ping in your brain? Well, make sure you're eating
healthy,
gummy vitamins.
Some gummy vitamins.
Vitamins. I would say getting at least 8 hours of sleep a day. Those are all ways of reducing ping.
No, my answer was put cotton in your ears. That'll at least soften the ping pong ball that's bouncing
That
around.
is true. You any of those are great suggestions.
Or just turn your speakers on your computer up louder. Then you won't hear anything in your brain.
Yeah. Headphones.
Yep.
Just turn them up.
Exactly. There you go. Okay. No more questions yet, but we have a really nice comment from Adrian, who's tuning back in. We haven't seen Adrian in a while, so welcome back. And Adrian says, glad to see you guys are still on and doing excellent work. Major shout out and thanks for all you do. Thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you on the show every week. Yeah, keep coming back.
Yeah. Razor did
we do have a
question
from Husky Gamer as well.
Yeah, Razor was asking, since the Wi-Fi range issues, the maximum power are limited, why don't the makers detail the transmit power for each channel? And that's actually a good question. I'm not sure why they don't. I do know that if they were going to do that, they would be putting down maximum power, because like with our routers, we actually adjust the amount of power going out from the antennas with the beamforming. So we can increase the power to devices that are farther away, decrease the power when the devices are closer. So you're not wasting a lot of power and you're not over broadcasting. But I don't see any reason why they shouldn't put their maximum transmit power on their units. As a tech person myself, I love seeing those sort of numbers just so that I can compare between devices.
Got it. Awesome. Well, hopefully that answered your question, Razor. If you have a follow-up, let us know. And we have a question here from Husky Gamer. Husky Gamer asks, we have trouble with our Wi-Fi to everything, and my school has given me a hotspot from AT&T/Nighthawk, so probably like an M1 or something.
Yeah.
And Husky wants to know, what number do we call to reach? We can definitely provide the number, Husky, but if you want to ask the question here, you've got some some experts here on the products, so definitely feel free to ask the question here, and if we can't answer it, maybe go ahead and call, but I'm happy to provide that number, but we're curious to know what the problem is.
Yeah,
before we send you away.
I think you should ask your question here. If we can answer it, that's awesome. If not, we'll provide a email that you can write in. You're probably going to get faster service through that. I know that sometimes our phone team gets pretty backed up. So I would say that would probably be a faster route is to ask it right now.
I have a question. When he says Wi-Fi, the way he seems to be wording it means his ISP isn't good enough because he got hotspot. I don't know that he actually means Wi-Fi from the router, but like internet speeds.
Yeah, Husky, if you could maybe just help us understand what the problem is a little bit more, we'll definitely try to get you an answer for sure. Okay, question here from Ricky B. Ricky B asks, I was thinking about getting a second Wi-Fi router for all my security cameras and motion detectors, and then connecting that by Ethernet to my network Wi-Fi router. Is that possible? That is possible.
Yes. Yeah, and what you're basically doing is you're creating a completely different subnet for your security cameras.
Yeah.
And as long as the security cameras don't have problems going through double NAT if you're trying to access them remotely, then yeah, there's no problem with doing that. You're just creating a whole other network in there, and you're using your main router as the internet access to that the security camera network. But if you're on your main router with your PC, for instance, you wouldn't be able to see the security cameras directly because they're not on the same sub network.
True. Okay. So Ricky, hopefully that helps guide your decision. If you have any follow-ups, let us know. Cool. Cabe says, basically a follow-up to our answer. That's why I went with Orbi. It felt more secure. Eero customer service saw all the devices on my network. I saw that Orbi created a different IP address.
That's what he meant, is that Eero customer service could actually go and look into his network. And yeah, NETGEAR does not do that. If you're having a technical problem that does require remote access into your system, then yes, you'd be giving them the okay over the phone to be able to temporarily connect into your network to troubleshoot. But in general, no, NETGEAR does not have access to the devices on your network to see what's there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even think we could. Even if one of us went rogue, we couldn't.
No, they use one of those. They talk to the customer and ask them to give them a code from one of those remote access programs to get in their computers, so that we don't have any access in unless they give us permission.
Something like TeamViewer or something like that.
TeamViewer,
yeah. And TeamViewer is one of the more popular ones to use because it's just a single temporary connection to be able to do the tech support, and then once the connection's gone, there's no more access.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for going with Orbi, and we're glad it kind of gives you a little more peace of mind. It definitely gives me peace of mind to have a NETGEAR product. But I'm obviously a little biased because I work for NETGEAR. So if somebody hacked into my network from NETGEAR, I could probably email them and be like, "What's up?" All right, let's see. Husky Gamer is basically saying that they want to buy a 4G LTE router and modem, and their dad has a question about it. Also, I'm trying to help. Yeah. Also, I'm trying to help my neighbor.
Are you talking?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Darren was saying. Are you talking about the Wi-Fi signal, the wireless signal, or are you having issues with internet speed? Because those are two different issions.
And stability, internet stability too.
Yep.
Yeah, and also I think something that's key to note is the use case for 4G LTE is rather specific. I mean, you can use it over traditional, a traditional ISP if you want anywhere almost. But typically you would want to use an LTE connection if you are somewhere rural or if it's cheaper than an ISP service. If you're having issues with your internet service provider, I would suggest looking into other ISP options in your area. If there's not any, and you feel that a mobile connection would be cheaper and faster, that would be kind of the point at which you would want to use a mobile LTE system.
Yeah, but you would also want to caution that with some expectations on what your speeds and what the load of devices that you can have
Right.
on that particular hotspot. It's a hotspot. It's not, you're not going to be able to watch Netflix at 4K on 3 different televisions while somebody's gaming and
Right.
somebody else is on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. It's a limited bandwidth, but it does do very well in remote areas or on the go. And with the Orbi LTE, it also you're also kind of fenced in a little bit on what is your mobile company's LTE networking in your area. So if there's a lot of towers, great.
Yep. And also we should probably mention that there's actually sort of 2 types of LTE. There's your mobile LTE, and then there's your what we call fixed wireless.
Yeah.
They're still using the same sort of cellular connections, but the difference is with your fixed wireless, that's something like the Orbi LTE that we have, where it's a fixed device that's actually plugged into wall power, and that's what's giving you your network in your home. While mobile wireless is like the MR1100 that was mentioned earlier. It's a mobile hotspot that has a battery in it that can be carried around and used in different places. And those are definitely for 2 completely different uses, because the Orbi LTE is going to give much better whole home coverage than you're going to get from the MR1100 hotspot, because the hotspot's meant to be something you're carrying around and just going to service 3 to 5 customers within the same room.
Got it. Yeah, so hopefully that helps kind of answer your question. I see there's a follow-up, and we'll come back to that after we get through some of these other ones. Question here from a warrior, probably for you, Ben. Can you guys add different types of QoS on the XR1000? Because it seems the current QoS is not working, even though I have always on QoS. It is still giving me my full speeds, which results in buffer bloat for gaming.
That's interesting. Different types of QoS. you can make adjustments on what type of traffic that's being affected. If you go into QoS and you pull out, the different types of genres of traffic, it's the second panel, not just the congestion control, which is the anti-buffer bloat, but sort of the bandwidth allocation. I would say, have you made adjustments in there, or are you just having those traffic prioritization in the traffic prioritization panel? So I'm just confused as to where you are having the issue. So if you can clarify that, that'd be better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question from Adrian here. Basically, Adrian's going to be switching to Google Fiber and wants to know, can I use my RAX as a router and put the network box in DMZ mode and deal with double NAT? Which would we choose and why? So I personally have, well, we would have to speak to the Google Fiber hardware specifically. And I don't have all the details on that hardware. However, I can say that I did something similar with my AT&T fiber. I'm using my XR500 with that, with the AT&T fiber box, and I like it. I'm getting faster speeds than I was getting from just the box itself. So I would suggest, if you want to upgrade to 2 GB service, go for it, and yeah, set up your RX as the router. I think that should. Does anybody else have any experience with a similar situation?
Nope, I don't get fiber here, so don't have any experience with it. I'll take your word on it.
Yeah.
Cool. I know Angela did a similar thing with an RX 200, so he likes it as well. So I would suggest going that route. All right, question here from Cabes, and it's kind of an interesting one. Is there a reason why Orbi has only one router? I was trying to create a hardwire backhaul. The Orbi only has satellites, but they can't be used as routers. Plans to change. Um, so sadly, I think the answer to this one is going to be no. I think most use cases for most people is going to be they're trying to create a mesh network versus creating two router networks when they buy an Orbi. That being said, there's definitely an enthusiast use case for having two routers, and I can see why you would want to do that, but I think it's just a little too niche for us to create a brand new kit just for that. I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that.
Nope. And if you actually wanted just the Orbi router, depending on which model you're looking at, you can actually order the router alone without a satellite connected to it. And turning one of the satellites into another router itself doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's the whole concept of a satellite. Is it specifically designed as a satellite?
Right.
So yeah, if you wanted a Orbi router, you'd buy just the individual Orbi router, as opposed to trying to or wish that one of the other satellites was a router.
Totally. Okay, follow-up question here from Husky Gamer. How many connections can the 4G Orbi handle, and how many connections can a 4G LTE router handle? So the 4G Orbi is kind of a 4G LTE router. I mean, it basically is. Yeah, I don't believe we sell a dedicated like Nighthawk 4G LTE router. I believe we sell Nighthawk modems that are LTE. Is that right? Or no, we have the
Yep.
CAX 80.
Yes.
Well, that would be isn't that one 5G?
That, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't
have to
believe we
look up.
have a 4G LTE router that is like Nighthawk. That would be the 4G LTE Orbi. And I would say probably around 40 to 60 devices. Would you say something similar to
Yeah,
that?
and that would really depend on the load of the devices. When you're talking about small IoT smart home devices, their bandwidth requirements are so small that, yeah, you can hit the max number of concurrently active devices. But if you've got like 3 or 4 TVs that are streaming 4K, then they're going to eat up most of your bandwidth, which means it won't be able to handle as many devices without you feeling some slowdown from it. As far as how many devices can be connected to it, 254 can, because that's how many IP leases it can hand out. But you don't want all of them concurrent, because they just eat up all of your bandwidth.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, hopefully that answers the question. We have a question here from Daddy Hutch, and he asks, "Hi panel, why is VLAN tagging for ISP so hard to configure on the Orbi Pro? It was simple on the Orbi AX6K." I'm not too much of an expert on the SMB products, so I would default to somebody else for that one.
Yeah, the only guess I could make is that it was two different development teams that were actually developing those. The Orbi Pro was designed on a completely different track than the other Orbi products, so their design decisions were obviously different, and it sounds like they made some decisions that made it much harder to set up.
Okay. Next question is from Buddy, and Buddy asks, "Why is a mesh always done over the Wi-Fi instead of an option to do it over the wired connection?" You can do it over a wired connection.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're willing to do that, I would suggest it. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, it depends. If you're trying to, if he's talking about doing mesh over wired connection, well, technically you already have mesh over wired with any device that's wired in there, isn't going to have any problems, talking to anything else, and you don't have to worry about it being handed off to things. But normally when you're talking about a mesh and wired, you're basically running a hard wire from the router to your satellite. And as soon as you've done that, you're basically turning the satellite into a classic access point.
Mm-hmm.
And the same sort of things that they have around all corporate buildings where you see those little things up on the ceiling, those are all hardwired in. And then, yeah, it just becomes an access point. So you can do that. But if you're talking about wired devices, mesh doesn't really fit into that because it's already wired. So it's not going to be traveling around.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. I think we did miss a question from Caves. So I apologize for skipping that. Caves asks, if I get 1,000 up and down from my ISP, what would be the most I should expect to see via Wi-Fi on Orbi? I'm currently seeing 500 to 700. I would say 500 to 700 is pretty good. There are things you can do to potentially increase that. Depending on where you're making this measurement from, you could optimize the location of your router or satellite. If it is in a cabinet with the door closed in a corner and you're trying to access it upstairs, you're not going to quite get that good quality, connection. So that's one suggestion I would make, is to make sure it's in an open area. I don't know, what else would you guys say could help out?
One of the things that I would look at is the specific Orbi has. What is the maximum Wi-Fi speeds on that Orbi? Obviously, the higher in the Orbi is, the faster Wi-Fi speeds that you have. Another thing is what band are you actually on? Are you on the 2.4 or the 5? The 5 gigahertz band always is going to be, faster. With Orbi, normally it puts you on the right one. If it happens to drop you down to the 2.4, that's definitely going to be slower. Also, if you can, if your client devices support the DFS channels, and the Orbi version that you have allows you to turn on DFS, then turning DFS could get you a faster speed as well, because it actually covers more of the bands within the that channel. So those are some suggestions. Any others, Ben or Darren?
Yeah. Also, I would just double check if you are getting 1,000 up and down when you do a wired connection speed test. I have 1,000 up and down, and I don't always get that. That's why they say when you buy these connections, it can be up to 1,000 up and down. So I get like 900 when I do my test wired. So you might not even be getting it straight from the modem to begin with.
Yep. And that also made me think of another thing, is which test are you actually running? If you're running the using the Orbi app and you're running your speed test, then that's telling you what the speed is from the Orbi out to the internet. And if you're running an app like speedtest.net on your client, that's going to give you the speed from the client out. And then you want to make sure of which server you're pinging against to make sure that you're getting the maximum speeds when you're testing. And of course, the one other caveat is make sure nothing else is running on your network that's sucking up bandwidth, because any bandwidth that's taking out will be removed from your the total that you're actually going to be seeing.
Totally. All good advice. I think something that Darren mentioned that I think is really important is you could have just a straight bottleneck with your modem. I know I've had that issue in the past. I'd say that's a really common one too. So if you have this awesome Orbi system and the modem is from the 90s, that could be a problem for sure.
Yeah, but if he's getting 1,000 up and down, then that means that he's got to have fiber, which means it's relatively new.
He does have to have fiber for that. That's true. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Let's see. Sorry, I think Caves did have a follow-up, but I'm not sure if we need to adjust our answer. Okay. He's noticing that the speed is faster on the router versus the satellite. That can occur, but I would say that in that scenario, maybe try some of those original tips I gave of making sure it's in a good area. Oftentimes that occurs because, and not just the satellite, but also the router. If the router is getting blocked by something, it's not going to have a good quality backhaul going to your satellite, which is really important to get those speeds consistent throughout your router and your satellite. So I would evaluate where you have everything placed. Ideally, if you have a router and a satellite, you want the kind of edge of each range to kind of just barely cross over. So if you got, if you imagine kind of what are those diagrams? Venn diagrams is
Venn
what they're called.
diagrams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
imagine like that, except two networks. You kind of want it to be just that little crossover. That's going to be optimal for speed and for range. Okay. Looks like Adrian's going to try going with AT&T fiber. Yeah, Adrian. I mean, I don't want to, sway your decision too much. You very well may be able to do what I did with my AT&T box with Google. But if you want to just be certain that you can do it the way I did it, AT&T to me is a great option. It's also unlimited here in San Jose. And Xfinity was not unlimited, so that was a big decision maker or big element for me. All right. Question here from well, we got a follow-up here from Warrior about QoS. Ben, you wanna take that one?
Yeah. No, you cannot load another QoS into the system. And he set it like at 70%. I'm thinking that he's setting the congestion control, which is actually anti-buffer bloat at 70%. If your speed is, 300 plus, then yeah, 70 is. I have 600 and I set mine to 50.
Mhm.
So, and I have it always on as far as for gaming. But with that, I think that it's maybe a deeper issue because I just don't, I just haven't seen that issue before.
Mhm.
And we might want to have you write into us and we'll see if we can kind of take a look at that.
Mhm. Definitely. All right, question here from CC. And they ask, what will a ProSafe Plus switch do for my R7000? Well, I guess kind of the first thing we should answer here is what does a switch do? And you guys might want to give a different answer than what I have to say, but to me, when I first came on to Netgear and I first started learning about what the hardware does, to me, a switch is almost like a splitter. I think it's the easiest way to understand it. Obviously, there's much more to it, and if you guys want to go into that, please feel free. But at the very core of the functionality is you're going to be able to take an Ethernet connection and split it into multiple.
Yep, and that's basically the reason why you're putting any sort of a switch in there, whether it's ProSafe or any of the others. And the
Mhm.
main reason why you go with something like the ProSafe Plus is because it's a managed switch.
Mhm.
So you actually have software that you can have on your PC, and you can go in and you can manage the connections on it.
Mhm.
That's usually a lot more technical than most people care about in their homes. They just want the switch to work.
Right.
And so in that case, what the switch is doing is it's just giving you more Ethernet ports than what your R7000 would normally have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually have a ProSafe switch. You guys can't see it, but it's like right. Where's my hand? I'm trying to make it. It's like right over there.
Yep.
And for me, I just needed to hardwire my whole office setup, specifically for the show. Ethernet's a little more consistent than wireless is. There's no waves over the air that can get messed up. And for me, it was very much set it and forget it. I mean, I just plugged everything in and gave it some power, and then I never even opened like a GUI or anything. I just kind of plugged everything in and it worked. So I like it. If you need to hardwire I think in a home setting, a great thing to hardwire is a media center.
Yeah.
Hardwiring all your streaming devices can really, really free up your network. And I think a ProSafe switch is perfect for that. It's just so simple.
Yep. And Netgear makes bunches of different switches, managed, unmanaged, the ProSafe ones, whatever level that you want on them. We've got a great bunch of unmanaged switches that are very reasonably priced, and I've got some of those around the house as well as ProSafe switches and others. So you just figure out which one you want, how many ports you want in the location you're putting the switch in, and that pretty much is it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it really is pretty simple. I think underutilized in the average American home is the switch. Um, It's got some powerful, it's very powerful, really good for freeing up your network. Like at any given time on my network, there's probably like less than 10 devices because they're all wired, which is great. All right.
Yeah, and can I just reiterate, Warrior One, definitely write in, because that's a. I'd like to take a deep, like have somebody take a deeper dive as to what your settings are and why you're not getting that QoS.
Mhm. Okay, let's see here. It looks like there is some conversation between Adrian and Cabes here about Cabes' question. I'm not quite following here.
Yeah, Adrian is just letting him know if he has Wi-Fi 6 that supports the 160 megahertz band, which he's saying make sure that that's on, because that will give you more bandwidth than you would normally have. And
Got it.
Adrian's getting like 1.2 gig down through his ISP and getting just over a gig with his RAX 120.
Got it. Okay. Cool. In that case, I think we can go on to the next question. Razor asks, well, rather states, I wish they would make an 8-port 2.5 gigabit switch.
Well, technically, they make something even faster than that, but it's a business product, which is all 10 gig ports on it, but it gets a little bit pricey. But I agree with you. I'd love to have a home switch where all the ports were 2.5 gig, because normally in the home, 10 gig is a little overkill, except for certain situations. But if you want to, if you got the bucks, our business level switches, you can get 10 gig ports on all of them. Hey, you can even get 100 gig ports on the really high end ones.
Yeah, really the only scenarios I can think of where you'd ever need more than like a gig in the home. Not even a gig. I mean, if you're streaming something like 4K is like what, 60 megabits per second, 40 megabits per second, like
it depends on how the bit rate now it's compressed. I mean, you can really rack it up there. If you're doing just raw video streams, then you're hitting the hundreds of gigabits a second going across. But in general, the biggest reasons for having the more than a gig connection is if you're connected up like to a NAS box and you want to be able to transfer data back and forth. Especially if you're a photographer or you take a lot of video and you're trying to move that around. Yeah, faster than a 1 gig connection definitely does help. But for general use, streaming videos, things like that, a 1 gig connection usually covers everything that you need.
Right. On Linus Tech Tips, a YouTuber, all of his editors work off these servers, and he has this crazy network where he has them all 10 gig into this server so they can work on the same video files at the same time without congestion. That's like the extreme cases for those 10 gig setups where they need that speed to work locally across the network to edit files, photos, videos, everything.
Yeah. Now, there is one thing that I did do where a 10 gig connection actually was useful, and I was demoing it off, is with one of our Ready NASs that has a 10 gig connection. And I had a PC that also had a 10 gig card in there. I created a virtual machine on the Ready NAS itself and had all of my games on there, and I was able to launch and run the Ready NAS through that 10 gig connection. But it needed something that fast to be able to do it. But that was just a fun project. It's not something you would normally do in the home.
It was something something similar to that. We were thinking about doing in the gaming lounge in the office prior to work from home. We were going to try to run games on the 6 computers off of 110 gigabit NAS, just to see if, I mean, it would be a nice display of the power.
If it could be done.
But yeah, ultimately we kind of just wanted to see what would happen. Would have been fun, but maybe we'll go back and do that one of these days. All right. Question here from One Arabian, and they ask, does the RBR 850 work with the plugin? I'm assuming you mean plugin satellites. RBR 850 is a Wi-Fi 6 Orbi, and I believe all of our current Orbi satellites are Wi-Fi 5.
That's
And
correct.
those unfortunately do not work together. So if you did
Yeah,
want to use,
I've seen this question a lot in the past few days on Amazon in their Q&A, where people have been asking that specific thing about that small mini wall plug Orbi that we have trying to work with the newer systems. And unfortunately, no, Wi-Fi 5 Orbis don't work with Wi-Fi 6 Orbis.
maybe one day, but
I'm
not
Yeah,
today, unfortunately.
I'm sure we'll pass on the engineers that people are wanting that product
Yeah.
for Wi-Fi 6.
We missed a question from Cabes. Can you explain Armor Bit Defender works? Yeah, there's a so what it does is it's protecting you on a couple of different levels. One is real-time protection at the router, so it's actually stopping attacks or identifying suspicious activities before it even gets to your device. The second thing you can do is you can actually download Bitdefender and NETGEAR Armor onto your device, and now it's actually got a level of protection that's on your device level as well as on the network level. The 30 days, try it. It will. I had it as a trial, and I didn't have actually that many blockages that month. But then I decided to go ahead and do the subscription, and I have found that there has been a few attacks that I wasn't really even aware of. So it's definitely worth it. It's a great peace of mind. It helps keeping your privacy. There's a lot of stuff, not only for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. There's a multi level approach against ransomware. You can also run a vulnerability assessment. I mean, we could spend a whole hour talking about it and not even get to all the things that it does. But yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like a good example is if you have a kid on the internet that doesn't understand, like clicking random things could be bad, send you a bad website, a virus that helps protect that if they're over there just clicking random things. And
exactly,
it'll tell you, oh, we stopped this from happening on this device over
here. And you can control everything from either the Orbi or the Nighthawk app, which makes it really easy. So you're not logging into a separate login. It's very integrated. But yeah, we could do a whole hour on that.
Absolutely. Maybe we will one of these days.
Maybe we will.
That'd be a good show. I remember, just quick funny story. I remember one time when I was like 7, one of those like pop-ups came up and it was like, you won an Xbox, and I ranted to my mom for like hours about how I needed to click this link to get the Xbox, and she's like, it's a virus, it's a scam, don't do it. I was convinced. So if I had Armor, I could have clicked it and
it would have blocked
it. Problems. Yeah, there you go.
You still wouldn't have had your Xbox.
I know. I still
there
might have the Xbox.
Might have been a 1% chance that it was
1% chance. Yeah, I still haven't gotten my Xbox, by the way, because there are no chips. Yeah, crazy.
All right. So, question here from Daddy Hutch, and Daddy Hutch asks, I have a NAS. 1 gigabit per second Ethernet allows 100 megabytes per second. I got a 2.5 gigabit per second card, so now I can transfer over at 200 megabits per second. Plus, I can stream right off the NAS. Well, I guess, sorry, I thought that was a question. It's more of a comment.
That's more of a comment, but
it sounds like a sick setup.
that sounds pretty damn sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, except I would ask, when he says he has the 2.5 gigabit card, is that what you're putting in your PC, and your NAS already supports more than a 1 gig connection? Because if you just have a 1 gig connection on your NAS, you wouldn't be able to get more than about, 120 megabytes a second max, because that would be close to 1,000 megabits. So I'm assuming your NAS has a NIC card that goes beyond 1 gigabit.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Okay, this is kind of a two-parter, so I'll go through both of them. Buddy asks,
Oh,
I'm using. Oh, sorry. Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. So real quick,
Yeah.
Christine, can you drop the link? Or, it's actually in the description where if you go down to show more, there should be the how to contact our support and submit a help ticket and use the hashtag stay connected.
Yeah, it
So
looks like Christine
it's
actually
down below
sent it
us.
off to sent that email address
Okay, great.
to Buddy. So Warrior, if you just want to follow that same address,
Yeah.
you can email us there. Cool. Okay, so Buddy asks, well, first Buddy says, I'm using two GC752XP switches and connecting three WAX 610s to the network on Insight. They set up as a root and two extenders, which is really slow speed to the third unit. When I change the others to root, they disconnect and I have to reset them to get them back as extenders. What am I missing? So I'm not an expert on SMB products at all. So I can't answer this one. Does anybody have any tips for him?
The best answer, I think, is to follow Christine's suggestion and have Buddy reach out to us, and then we can have someone from the SMB team take a look at that. Because yeah, that's definitely too specific of an SMB setup for us to be able to even take guesses as to what's causing the problem.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's outside my wheelhouse. That's for sure.
Yeah, the once a month we need Brett. He's not here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry, buddy, but you win the stumper of the day question. So that's yeah. I think that the best solution is to have you write in, and we can try to figure and help you out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yep, definitely use that email. Get in touch with us, and you'll hear from us.
And I just want to reiterate that when we send you off to the email, you're going to get an answer. We're not going to just send you to a dead space because we can't answer it. And we've been around long enough to that people know we've got a good reputation on this show. We're not going to we'll do you right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Getting down to
I
the
think we're all
final
caught up right
minutes.
now.
Yeah, I
Only
think
took
Daddy
us.
Hutch did have a previous question about dual ISPs on the Orbi.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the answer is no. The Orbi Wi-Fi 6 only supports one ISP. We do have routers that allow for two connections to come in, but that's very specific. On the Orbi setup, it's only one.
The Orbi LTE allows failover from LTE to a cable
Right.
DSL solution, so that accepts two ISPs technically. And we have cable modems that can accept two connections as well.
Yeah, but not the Orbis.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now I think we're officially caught up. So
7 minutes.
yeah, we're down to the last 7 minutes, like Ben said. So get those last questions in. If you've been enjoying the show so far, and you want to keep it going, definitely drop a like. We really appreciate it. YouTube likes it when we get a lot of likes. So help us out. We really appreciate
Yeah.
any
Our
love we can
bosses
get.
our bosses like it when we have a like too. So so drop us a like. Even better, drop us a subscribe.
Oh yes.
That would be fantastic. And that way we're here every Friday in some way, shape, or form. So
Except for holidays and
except for holidays.
Sometimes when people can't make it, we cancel, but not very often.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? The YouTube channel is growing pretty quickly. We're going for that silver play button. I think we're gonna get it this year.
Excellent.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
we've certainly put in we've put in the hours, that's for sure. And we put in the time, and you guys have really kind of helped grow with us. Got a question from Peter.
Yeah, Peter asks, is it possible to block domains with SSL/TLS certifications without using NETGEAR Armor in any of the consumer routers? I prefer a router that didn't share data to third parties. I'm not too sure about that one.
I'm not too sure, but that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I know in our consumer routers, we don't have that functionality. And the closest thing we have is being able to blacklist, particular sites, but nothing to that level. Armor really is the only option that we have right now to do anything close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question from Adrian.
Oh.
Any guesses?
Yeah, called you out.
This is for me specifically. Any guesses on what Apple will announce at their spring-loaded event on the 20th? Let's see. They announced the iPad already. They announced probably just more Macs with M1 chips. That's my guess.
They only have 3 products that they rotate between announcing. They're like, oh, updated Mac, updated iPad, updated iPhone. Let's start over again, guys.
Yeah.
Do we make them bigger this year? Do we make them smaller this year?
How about 2 options? How about a big one? How about a small one?
We'll have foldable ones.
I think they might announce a service too. I feel like they'll do some software stuff. I feel like they kind of already went through all the products. They did the watch, they did the iPad, they did the Mac, and they did the iPhone. They're kind of all out of stuff to talk about. So yeah, I'd say maybe some software or like a new service.
New earbuds that cost $100 more than the old ones because they have the Pro tag to them.
Right. Or how about a MacBook that has no you can't plug anything into it.
Oh, what was crazy?
It's a one charge. It's a one charge MacBook. So
you throw it away after you're done.
A disposable MacBook?
Disposable MacBook. I think they'll announce that they put the plugs back into the Mac. Because I think that's kind of the direction that they're heading, because they found out that only having a proprietary goofy dongle thing annoyed almost everybody. So including myself. I hate the new Mac.
I mean, the craziest thing I seen like a year ago was when they had the new Mac that looked like a cheese grater, that you could buy wheels for it that cost like $700 to put wheels on it.
I thought that was it was like not like it wasn't admirable, but it was kind of funny.
And they're wheels.
Yeah. The funny thing, Adrian, actually is while we're banging on Apple, here I'm on one of my MacBooks. I've got my phone. I've got another MacBook over there. I've got an iMac in the other room.
Speak for yourself. So, I don't own an Apple product, so I'm going to bash on it all day.
I have a ton of Apple products, but that's because I didn't have an Apple product until I became an Apple developer. And that was
that's a good way they get like people locked in. I feel like you can only make iPhone apps with the Mac.
I got locked in.
Cool. I could see a new iPad Pro. Adrian says a new iPad Pro. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do much of a refresh though, because it's they kind of just redesigned it like not that long ago. So I hope not, because I got an iPad Pro like a couple months ago and I don't want to like regret it.
I feel like it's already old technology.
It's already old.
I know.
Yeah, but that's their best. That's what they're best at is to really, they're really good at giving consumers buyer's remorse 2 years after you bought the thing. And not because it doesn't work, it's because now there's a new, cooler, shinier version of it.
Exactly.
Terrible.
And it comes in a new color too.
Right. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Ricky B. Thanks for the past year. Like, yeah, it's been a while. Thanks everyone this week. We're kind of into the final minute. So thanks everybody for hitting that like. If we can get one more person to knock us up into 20, that would be fantastic. And have a great weekend. It should be, we're starting to get out of the freeze and the rain and stuff like that across the country. So hopefully it's a good weekend where you are.
Yeah, get outside, soak up some sun, hopefully. And if there's no sun, at least you'll be able to look forward to another show on Friday. And if you want to tune back in, we'll be here. So yeah, thanks again, everybody, for coming back to the show, and we'll chat soon.
Yep, and thanks everybody for hitting that like. If you really like us, hit the subscribe.
Yes.
But yeah, we really appreciate it. Thanks. We'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great weekend.
Yep. Bye, everyone. Take care.